it is kind of an uphill battle at times, because when I get hired to do certain things, they want to hire me as a host for a movie. You know, like when you see me in Sultan, it's like, oh, let's put her as the host, because you can't think of anything else that I could do. And you don't always get the best response. Especially in the last few years, I've said things that I've needed to say, and people haven't reacted well to it. I've stood up for things that I felt were right. People haven't reacted well to it. I've lost maybe a fan base for it. I've lost followers for it. But you know what? It is what it is. I can't be apologetic for that. In one of my first ever serious relationships, I bottled everything. And the relationship was an absolute disaster. And I think I just carried on thinking that I have to give people the impression that this is good. I've suffered from depression in the past. I work with a therapist, twice a month. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with it, because for me, it was about just being as honest and as real as possible. I stood up for what was right. I still stand by that today. I wouldn't have it any other way. And once you know that that's what your truth is, then, what people say is really irrelevant to me. People have something to say when they have no idea what the truth is. And that you can be so vicious and that you can attack when you have no idea what the truth is.
Is there a plan to get married? That I think is everybody's question.
Everybody is asking me that question.
A talk show host, a TV presenter, a daredevil stunt queen, and also an actress. Today I have Shibani Dandekar joining me for a conversation only on Bollywood Bubble. So hi Shibani, how have you been?
I'm good. How have you been?
Shibani, you are a familiar face. But today I'll start off with this because I've still not watched the film. But when I go and I look for the kind of project that you've done, as a viewer, I do feel that there's so much more to you and there has been an untapped zone. Do you feel that there is a part of you which the industry is yet to see, notice, and they've overlooked?
I think that we need to hire you as my manager immediately, because if this is how you think, then I want you on my team so you can get out there and tell people this and start making phone calls. I appreciate you saying that, because it's a difficult space to kind of navigate when you are seen as an IPL host.
Yeah.
And when you are seen as a TV host, because when you're a TV host, you're not playing somebody else, you're playing yourself.
Yes.
So when people think of me, they think of me in one specific way, and sometimes they can't think of me as anything else. So I understand where the problem happens. I'm hoping that changes slowly. But it is kind of an uphill battle at times, because when I get hired to do certain things, they want to hire me as a host for a movie. Like when you see me in Sultan, it's like, oh, let's put her as the host, because you can't think of anything else that I could do. And it's not the fault of, it's not their fault. It's just the way that it works. You kind of envision something and you take that and you place it and you expect it to just kind of fit. But yeah, then that does kind of cause a bit of a problem for me when I'm trying to break that, stereotype.
Mold,
I'm trying to break that mold, and I'm trying to get people to see me differently. And hopefully with little pieces of work that I do, maybe that'll change. I hope.
Shibani, also one thing that I really like about you is that you're very upfront and honest. And do you feel that being honest in a make-believe environment like ours, which is the film industry and the glamour world, how many times have you faced these kind of prejudices, or how many times have you faced comments from industry insiders or as well as outside people, which you think stems from a certain prejudice?
When you're a part of an industry like this one, sometimes you can get caught up in how you want to be perceived and how you want to portray yourself. And, how should people kind of see me and what should I be like and what's important? And I think maybe a couple of years ago, maybe longer, I was just not into that anymore. I was just thought I'm just I may lose followers, I may lose fans. I just don't, it's too much of a facade to keep up with.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to say what I want to say, and I just want to do what I want to do. And I want to be funny when I want to be funny. I want to be serious when I want to be serious. I want to do the kind of work that I want to do. And I just want people to kind of see me. And that doesn't mean you're always going to like it. You're not going to like it. Not even the people in my life like it a lot of the time. But the fact is that I feel like there's no other way to really be and then also like yourself at the same time. Like you are a certain way, and you look at yourself and you catch yourself thinking, ugh, why are you doing that? Like, just stop it. Just be who you have to be and just say what you need to say. And you don't always get the best response, especially in the last few years. I've said things that I've needed to say, and people haven't reacted well to it. I've stood up for things that I felt were right. People haven't reacted well to it. I've lost maybe a fan base for it. I've lost followers for it. But you know what? It is what it is. I can't be apologetic for that. I need to do what I feel is right and what I can ultimately live with at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I can't live with anything else but that. So if this is what it is, then this is what it is. And if you lose a couple of million followers, then you lose a couple of million followers. But it's not the benchmark of how to live. So
absolutely,
I just feel like that needs to happen. It's enough now.
You know, when I asked you the second question about a make-believe world, a lot of the relationships today, and even the earlier relationships, were built on a make-believe foundation. From what I can gauge from the synopsis of your story, because that's what I've read, is that there is a certain thing that you, as a couple, you're trying to hide. You're trying to hide the issues in the relationship because you're this, ideal couple for people around you. It is a problem because when you try to hide the issues, you're only bottling them up for a bigger, explosion. Has it ever happened in your life where you have had to stay calm and you feel or you regret bottling up emotions and not reacting at the same time?
Absolutely. In one of my first ever serious relationships, I bottled everything. And the relationship was an absolute disaster. And I think I just carried on thinking that I have to give people the impression that this is good because I am in love with this person. And in my head, I was trying to convince myself that maybe this is good because those little moments that it was good, and they were just moments, I had managed to convince myself that the moments is all of the relationship, and it wasn't. So it's definitely happened to me. It's happened to me, and I've learned from it, and I'll never do it again. I will never do it again.
Sometimes, when you're in love, in an attempt to save somebody else's image who you are in love with, you end up screwing up your own in front of people. And I feel that that's what the story will also have or entail. You play a psychiatrist in the film. Less is spoken about mental health awareness in today's times. It is a very important discussion, especially during the pandemic, where there's been a steep rise in mental health issues and cases, and anxiety. Every kind of people don't really understand the difference between depression, anxiety, stress, but these are all gamuts of mental health, under one belt. Do you feel that this will bring about a change?
It should. This story is, yes, Malvika is a psychiatrist, and yes, she's going through things in her relationship, and yes, she's bottling things up, and there is a release at some point, and all of that happens. But I think the important thing to understand is that it's time to address things that we are feeling and emotionally and that we are going through mentally. Mental health is real. It is as much of, it needs as much awareness as, say, cancer and leukemia and HIV and all the big, diseases that we think require so much of our attention. You can't see mental health. You don't know. The happiest of people that you think could be going through major struggles and mental health issues. And I think this lockdown has really hopefully helped us understand how important this issue is and how important it is for us to reach out to people and understand and create awareness so that we can be there for each other. I think what's interesting about my character in this is that she is a psychiatrist. So she already has all the tools. She knows all.
But she still doesn't
Exactly. So, but where is her release? Who does she talk to? And that's also something to address, that even if you have the ability to intellectualize your problem and to understand what it is, the emotional capacity to be able to deal with it is something else. You know, and that's what's really important. And I think that that's what this story has touched upon, and it's a real takeaway.
Yeah. At a time when stories like this will channelize the importance of mental health and the importance of that movement, there are also times when we go through situations in life, especially what happened last year, where somewhere to an extent mental health awareness, we went back 5 years. Mm-hmm. It already is a constant fight to make sure people look at mental health as not pagalpan, as an illness. And we went back 5 years where we literally ridiculed and rejected the whole idea of depression and everything. And that has happened. And that's happened over the past few months, especially. And, it also helped me really realize that since the age of 6, I have battled anxiety related to my parents' health. Mm-hmm. And I was okay because my parents understood the position I came from. But there are so many families who don't understand it. Do you feel that when you are doing something like this, there are also influencers, influential icons who are taking it back? How do you see that? Do you think that there's a constant fight? हम लोग अगर 2 कदम आगे चलते हैं, अगर कोई हमको 5 कदम पीछे push करता है, तो we are anyway going in the negative.
Yeah. No, I think the best way to make sure that we keep moving forward is to kind of, lift the stigma that we have around mental health. I think it's important to not. Look, you can tell somebody that you have cancer or you have an illness of some sort, and they'll be there for you and feel bad for you and support you and do all the things that you feel you'll do all the things that you feel should be done. Why is there this, stigma around mental health that we find it to be something that's embarrassing or something that's not cool to share? That needs to go. For you to tell me now in our first phone call that you suffer from anxiety, that is huge. It is a massive thing to tell somebody, and it's a great step forward. I've suffered from depression in the past. I work with a therapist, twice a month, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it.
Absolutely.
Because, even though I love my life and I'm happy, there are things that I need to work through a therapist with. And I think that that's, totally acceptable and it's okay. And after you work with a therapist, a lot of your sentences start with, well, my therapist says, and I think that's the way you should just move on in life. It's important to really make this something that people do not have to hide. And I think it's really interesting, actually, that my character is a psychiatrist, because when that release happens, it's important. It's an important moment because psychiatrists are people as well. And that's what's important to kind of, and they're in relationships too. And people are people, we need to just make room for the things that people go through. We all go through them. You don't need to feel embarrassed or shy or hide what you're going through. It should be just an open platform for everyone to be able to discuss it and move on from it.
I would say that when I speak about my battle with anxiety, it's been a rather smooth one because, of course, I had ears that wanted to hear me out, which is my parents. And I feel that most people their age also don't understand the importance of mental health. But thankfully, I do feel that I come from a space of privilege where my parents actually understand it. I remember my father telling me last year, after Sushant's demise, what was happening, journalism and everything, it was bothering me because every interview I did, I would get really bad comments and people sending death threats, ye wo, sab kuch hua hai. So my father, I remember, told me that, if you want to go to a therapist or a counselor, I will take you. I will not sit with you if you don't want to speak in front of me, but I'll sit outside you. I will go there with you, which is a big thing. And I feel most parents don't do that with their kids. When, like you said, that you've also battled depression in the beginning, was it difficult for you to come out and share it with people? Did you feel lost? Because there is a constant stigma that also works in your head, right? Whether you will be accepted, whether people will understand your emotions. Did that happen with you?
Well, firstly, I kind of battled depression more in my teens. So it's not recent. Although sometimes, as a human being, you can go through bouts of it just normally, but the major portion of it was when I was probably, anywhere from like 15 to 21, which was a very long time ago. But I remember almost feeling as though I wasn't embarrassed by it, but I remember feeling not comfortable to be able to share it. Not because I worried about how people would think of me, but I just wasn't very good at talking about my feelings. So that's also something, that's interesting, because we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
We should be able to talk about our feelings, especially after a lockdown like this, where mental health issues are amplified, where things are just much worse than they used to be in terms of where we are, like mentally and emotionally. I think it's important, for us to be able to communicate, and it's not always going to be easy, and everyone has a different reason for why they don't want to share, but hopefully we get to a place where we normalize it and make it okay to be able to do that.
Now coming back to the second question, where you said that, there are times where you felt that, for speaking out, you're often targeted, or you face a lot of vicious trolling or bullying online, which has become the norm of the day, and it's sad that way. Mm-hmm. I have been a victim of that too, so I can understand and I can empathize with you. I will not sympathize, because that's not the word we should be using. I genuinely empathize with you. But last year, what happened after that, whatever you had to say or whatever your opinions you voiced out, your personality was being attacked. It was not your art. It was not how you are as a person, what your loyalties are, were being questioned. Did it ever bother you? And if it didn't, how did you deal with it? The kind of hate coming your way, because that was unprecedented.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. And I don't say this in a very like brave, I'm like, invincible kind of, it didn't bother me, because for me, it was about just being as honest and as real as possible. I stood up for what was right. I still stand by that today. I wouldn't have it any other way. And once you know that that's what your truth is, then, what people say is really irrelevant to me. It really is. And I don't know these people. So how can you affect me if I don't even know who you are? You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the right thing. That's all I know. That's what I will continue to do. And you can say whatever you want. You can, send through as much hate as you want. It's water off a duck's back. And look, at the end of the day, yes, you're human. I think if anything bothered me, it was that people have something to say when they have no idea what the truth is. And that you can be so vicious and that you can attack when you have no idea what the truth is. The fact that you don't bother to find out what the truth is. The fact that you can be keyboard warriors and speak so freely in the guise of like, a handle on a social media page. That's also in a way, the way that you kind of comfort yourself. You're like, who are these people? But it's sad to see that in this day and age, people don't look for what is true and what is real, that they're just given a platform to just go apeshit if they need to go apeshit. And that's what it is. But I have absolutely no regrets, and I'm totally fine.
Finally, when we talk about love in the times of Corona, you are in a happy, settled space with Farhan. I spoke to him last week after the success of Tufan, and I spoke to him about your reaction to his film, and we loved that film. I haven't watched yours. When I watch, I will definitely personally message you and tell you. But all I can sense is, whatever I could sense, if I'm right from whatever we discussed, I would really like it, because I appreciate these topics being spoken about.
Yeah.
Has he watched the short? What is his opinion?
Not yet. He will watch it tomorrow when it releases, like everybody else. Okay. I think for me, look, it was the reason why I obviously watched Tufan before it was released is because it was a much longer movie, and just the process of making it, I was kind of by default there. You know what I'm saying? So I got to see it, and it was a much longer journey. And I was sent Love in the Times of Corona once it was ready. And I kind of secretly went off to watch it with Shekhar, Indrani, and Tanvi, the producer, Indrani, director, Shekhar, co-star. And we kind of watched it together. And I kind of decided that I'd rather have him like watch it properly on the big screen, you know, once it's ready. So we'll probably watch it tonight at midnight when it releases, or maybe tomorrow.
But having spent so much time in the lockdown together, do you feel that you've discovered facets of each other which you didn't know or wouldn't have discovered had there been no lockdown, had you not been staying together for this long?
Well, I mean, you definitely get to know each other much quicker than what you would otherwise. But, you know, for us, I think it was, we already do so much together in terms of we work out together and we watch content together. And, you know, we would play with our dogs together and we would play great games, and then he would go off and work and I would go off and work. So we had a great balance that way. And we have a lot of interests that are similar. So, and we both like our time apart as well. So we had a kind of a great setup going on actually. But I mean, yeah, like you discover, you know, you get to know each other much faster is what I would say. I don't know if you would like discover things, but you get to know each other much faster because I mean, you're, you know, 24/7 together.
Yeah. But are you enjoying this space or do you want to take it to the next level? Is there a plan to like get married? That I think is everybody's question.
Everybody is asking me that question. Honestly, the topic has not come up, but I have told people that I will figure it out and I will let you know. As of now, there's nothing to it yet.
But the point is that both of you are strong individuals who never fear voicing their opinions, regardless of the consequences. And that's what I love. I have said this to him. I'll tell this to you also. We've not got a chance to interact much today. It's the first time we are doing, but I really had a fun chat. And honestly,
thank you so much.
More than everything, it was so candid and strong. And I hope you just keep at it, and hopefully, you know, soon enough, when I do the next interview, we'll not be starting with the complaint that you're not doing too many films.
I like that. Now that you put it out there into the universe, let me go see what I can do. But I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That was very sweet of you to ask that question. And you're right. I'm hoping that things change, and I'm hoping that, you know, I can really take care of that the next time that we speak. But this has been so wonderful. I love your entire like manner of interviewing. Honestly, as someone who has done this for a job, I love the candidness, the realness, and the ease with which you ask questions and how you make people feel comfortable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you didn't ask the questions that made me feel comfortable, I wouldn't be answering them. So well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And enjoy Love in the Times of Corona, which is released on the 27th Voot Select.
And tomorrow I'm going to text you also.
Yes, do that. Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you. You take care. Wishing you all the best. Bye.
Thank you.